Beautiful morning on the water. Out fishing with the East Coast family. We were chasing mulloway or jewfish as they call it over here. Our plan was to follow the tide. So basically we're fishing right on the top of the tide, a sort of hour each side, chasing jewfish in that slack water. Our plan was to keep on moving upstream. So as we make our way upstream, we stop spot by spot, use the sounder and be very specific to see if there are fish there, and then just keep on moving. Because we're going upstream and we're motoring pretty quickly, we can reach the spot before the tide changes in each area. That really just extends the window that you can fish if you can beat the tide. Started with using a soft vibe. So I think this was a fish trap or something along those lines. Just casting towards the bank and slowly hopping it back. So I basically let it sink to the bottom, watch for my line to go slack from once it hits the bottom, give it a rip up and slowly retrieve back. As I bring it closer to the boat, if it's a little bit deeper, I'll just open my reel to let it free spool back down to the bottom. Do this, rinse and repeat. If we spot fish under the boat, we'll then teabag for them as well. While we're doing this, we're hoping to catch a bunch of flathead as well. So we were looking for marked fish on the sounder. If they weren't there, we were just going to keep on moving. When we saw a school, we would check to see if they were facing up, ready to feed. In that spot, we actually pulled the hooks on a couple of them, but they were showing right up on the sounder. After they were spooked, we just kept on moving. Apparently you can see their swim bladders on the sounder to differentiate them between other larger fish as well. I decided to change over to soft plastic because that's what was hit at the last spot. So I've got I think it's a 2/5 size 3/0 jig head, and then this was a Rapala Heavy Hitter. I think it was probably about a 4 or 5 inch paddle tail. It was a pretty thick one, trying to sort of mimic a potty mullet. Buff here was on.
There we go. Nice, mate.
First flatty of the day. So after 20 minutes or so, we just kept on moving. You can hear the cicadas here, they were deafening. Would have been a good day for bass or brim as well, I assume. So I was using a 2 to 4, or I think maybe it was 3 to 6 Tatula rod with a 3000 Stradic with 12-pound braid and a shorter 16-pound leader with an FG knot. This was the setup that the skipper Murph tends to use for mulloway and has a really good success rate with it. Another flathead for Owie John. He's got onto some nice jews around here as well. We kept on motoring off to the next spot. Here we marked some fish in the beginning, but there was a heap of bait, so we decided to give this area a good crack. I started off using the soft vibe again, and then Murph noticed a big school of prawns all in the area, so I decided to make the switch. I had a quick look at the sounder and he showed me what a school of prawns would look like and went over and made the change. I found a packet of bait junkie prawns. I think this was a 3-inch in the tackle box and chucked it on. Pays to match the hatch. For this type of lure, I just cast out as far as practical the boat, let it sink to the bottom, and then 3 quick flicks up. Let it sink down to the bottom, give it a few seconds, and repeat, and hop it all the way back. Again, if you're going into deeper area, you might free spool just to drop it down to the bottom as required. After a few casts, I realised that the plastic probably wasn't on straight as I like, so I spent a bit of time straightening it up again just to make sure it was swimming right. After putting the plastic on, I then used my rod and put it in the water so I could see what it looked like when it was swimming as well, plus a bit of S factor here. Before I cast, I put it into the water to see what it looks like. Swimming much nicer. It's about 1 or 2 casts later. The Flathead we're on.
Good catch, mate.
After the Flathead took my last plastic and swallowed it down deep, I chucked on a lure that I use a bit in Perth, which is the Rapala Crush City Imposter. So there's a bit of water coming through here, so I'm casting into the opposite direction of the tide so the plastic sinks back towards me, and I think I put on a slightly heavier jig head as well. Again, the 3 hops, let it sink, beautiful, nicer one. This one hit it right at the boat as well, so sometimes it pays to be disciplined and hop it all the way back. Bit more of a chunkier one, would have been a good feed.
Just tip them over.
Bad. Got him in the tank.
On the trip back to the boat ramp, we stopped off at a few places where water was gushing in over drop-offs. The tide was coming out now, so there was a Flathead sitting there waiting to scoop. It did pretty well on the flatties. We had a pretty decent box of flatties for a feed, and we released a heap as well. Can't go wrong. Unfortunately, the silver ghost eluded us after we missed those first few bites, but that's fishing. Can't go wrong fishing somewhere as beautiful as this anyway. Thanks for watching. For more fishing, catch and cook videos, please subscribe. Feel free to ask any questions in the comment section.